So I think it would be interesting to keep like a video diary of what's been happening here. A phrase that has been used that I really like is being the grist in the mill for awakening. You know, I really feel like this identity, which I can't even remember like how I was identifying myself before. Identifying to myself, like what I confessed to myself about who I thought I was, or even what I communicated to others. I can't even really recall how I was doing that my whole life. But it's like that veil seems so thin right now. I hope you don't mind that I'm playing with my slime. But find myself in this space, this spacious, non-conceptual, if you could call it a realm, experience that doesn't have an experiencer and doesn't have, because there is no thought, you know, there's no content that, which we're so used to that word now in this like digital age, like content, and the similarities between like content on the internet of just like random shit just to lead you in a million directions, and then the content of your mind. I'm like, oh, it's so apropos. But anyway, as I find myself in this space, and it's so paradoxical to even call it a space, but like, whatever. Like there's no taking thought to who the self is anymore. There's only experience. It's only this like really vivid, just aliveness and experience without commentary and without conceptual heuristic for understanding. And it's a strange place to be because all of a sudden these things that you once took to be so deeply personal and identifying, like feeling, emotion, sensation, now are so related to that space of I am. You know, before it was like completely contiguous with that, with thought, emotion, perception. They were all like the same thing. And now it's all of a sudden I'm like, what is all this? Why do I feel this pull every moment of the day to do and do and do? There's this, I'm going to butcher this, but there's this concept in Buddhism called, I think it's like Tanha, Vibhana Tanha, and then there's Bhava Tanha, and they're basically these two existing pulls. It's this like this sense of pulling, urgent like movement, one way towards development and the other way towards disillusion or like non-existence, you know. So on one hand it's like the creation of the self, and on the other it's like the destruction not of really of the self, but just for destruction's sake. I don't know. It's like the death drive with Thanatos that Freud talked about. And the chronic vacillation between those two states is so strange. It's so strange. It's like, where does this inability to be in the present moment and to be, in the present moment, why is that so uncomfortable to the mind? I don't know if the mind can exist in a fully present, non-conceptual realm like the now. How could it? You know? But yeah, I'm in this weird space right now where identity feels very thin. Feels like a gossamer kind of thin layer, some like clear film on top of something more mysterious, but more authentic. I just don't know what it is. I don't know what any of this is, you know. But the experience I'm having now compared to the experience I used to have is so different. I mean, it's so different, and it's so ineffable and difficult to describe. Because, I mean, it exists outside of this conceptual realm. So it's like, well, how do I use conceptual language to describe a non-conceptual realm? All I can say is it doesn't even feel like emptiness as much as like when Rupert Spira talks about the best teaching is just silence, and I used to think, God, like, he's so pretentious, like how can you say that? Like, we're all trying to learn something, and if you just don't say anything, I'm never gonna understand. But now I get it. I get it. And I don't get it at the same time. I don't get any of this. But I guess it's like a gift, really, in this department. It's not a department. In this community, I guess it's a gift to have a lot of internal struggle, because it really gives you that initial urgency to dissolve and to think, at least for me, it was like, I don't care if I lose myself. I don't care. I had nothing that was preferable before. And I got to this state of like, every moment of every day was like unpreferable, was this distilled suffering. And it wasn't because I was missing whatever things you think in life you need. It wasn't that type of suffering. It was the mind and the identification with the mind. It's a hungry organism, you know. It's hungry and consuming, and it never gets unhungry. And you just think, man, if I could just destroy that part, you know, that's initially how I was thinking, was like, let me just destroy this part of me that once for anything. And, you know, of course, the longer you stay on this path, the more you realize that even those movements, those energetic movements, were perfect and were vibrant and alive. I mean, that's the same vibrant aliveness that we're talking about. Is it preferable, to the separate self, the mind? Like, no, but it's the same vibrant, liberated aliveness that, like, you think you're looking for. It's so weird. This is such a weird space to be in, and it's weird. It's weird that I didn't always like live this way. I don't know. It's really weird. The death of the self is really weird. And I've been kind of accused lately of, like, not really by anybody who knows me and understands me well, but by, like, maybe people on the internet, like, of dissociating, and that's what I'm doing. And this is almost like an anti-dissociative. It's so different than that, because it's, instead of getting away from thoughts, feeling, emotion, sensation, and perception, you're, like, becoming it. You're, like, I mean, you're not really, but that's what it seems to feel like, is like, no, I'm actually getting perfectly continuous with all of these things and losing myself in the process. Yeah, this is the most anti-dissociative thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm still, like, in the early stages of it, At least that's how it's been described to me. Who knows? But we'll just see how things go. But what's happening here is still a lot of energetic restlessness. And it's so interesting to think about, to feel into the restlessness and see what is it calling out for. If there's a hunger, perhaps that means there's something that could satiate this. No, there isn't. There isn't anything to satiate the hunger of the mind. Nothing. It's like the mind uses itself, like, cannibalistically as fodder for its existence. It's so weird. It's so strange. Thanks for letting me play with this the whole time. But yeah, I just wanted to throw my experience out there for people in this community who are like me and like to listen to others going through different stages of realization, and are sacrificing their own self as, like, grist for the mill for awakening, because that's kind of how it feels. But it's all really beautiful. It's all really alive. And it's really vibrant and alive. Even, even that hunger that we were talking about. It's that vibrant aliveness. it leads to all kinds of misperceptions that make that vibrant aliveness difficult to appropriate as, like, you know, a deeper quality of, like, self, you know, or with a capital S, self, like the I am kind of thing. But it's still there. Anyway, we'll talk about this later maybe.